he's an experienced player. He's played at a high level. So those are a lot of the traits that we're looking to add to that room. Obviously, his background with Frank really puts the icing on the cake there. And Frank coached him for 3 years and felt like this was the type of personality and person that we wanted in a locker room to continue building on the culture that we've already established here. And so just my experience with LC over the course of however many hours I spent with them the other days, that's what rubbed off on me as well. Really excited to get him to the fold. I know he experienced some time with a couple of our current players and a couple of our new players. And, I think everybody was happy with how those relationships are unfolding.
And then I just had one more question. Obviously, his situation was a little bit different than some of the free agents that you guys signed, with the fact that they were the director of personnel could probably present you at the beginning of free agency, hey, these are the type of guys coming up. With Collins, obviously there was some talk about being traded, but when did you guys kind of start your evaluation process on Collins, knowing that he could potentially be a possibility, whether it happened via trade or how it happened when he was released?
Well, we made all our decisions early in free agency based upon the guys that were available. And there was rumblings that he could become available. So, of course, we talked about it. If he comes available, would we want to add him? And obviously the answer to that was yes. And so it worked out in our favor where this has all come together.
All right, we'll go to Mike Petraglia. Mike.
Hey, Zach, I'm curious now with Lyle on board, and you obviously have Ted Karras and Alex Kappa on board as well. How does that change what you're going to do schematically, if it does at all?
It really doesn't. We'll continue to evaluate what their strengths are and any weaknesses that we need to help improve upon. But for the most part, our identity on offense is pretty well established. But again, you start to see, okay, maybe this opens some things up. Maybe we won't run the same volume of some other things that we've run in the past. But those are the things that will really come together for us, in May and April and August training camp. And even as the season evolves, you start to learn that about your current team. And maybe some things that have been really good for you in the past aren't as good. And maybe some things that you didn't spend a lot of time on because it wasn't, didn't speak to the strengths of your offense or defense. You spend more time on this year. So again, those are just the pieces that we'll put together over the next couple of months.
And if I can follow up real quick, Zach, do you feel like you're starting anew with your offensive line, or are you going to try to pick up where you left off last year? Personnel.
Well, three new pieces, and so again, we'll just see how all the chemistry unfolds as we get those guys in the building and get them working together. But again, each year is starting over is the wrong word because there's a lot of things for us to continue to build on, but we can't expect it just because we had success last year that we're going to continue to have success. There's a lot of work that's got to go on behind the scenes to make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Ox Miller.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Doing great, Wayne.
Coach, obviously fans can't dictate signings, but how did you feel about the energy and the effort that the fans were putting around Collins in terms of just encouraging him to come to Cincinnati?
I wasn't a big part of that. So I would imagine, that there's a lot of positive momentum since the season ended to add quality players to the lineup here. Most of the feedback was really from LC talking about the interactions he had at the airport and at the mall and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of secondhand accounts through him, I guess is the best way to put it. I know my kids were fired up. I brought some neighborhood kids over here when we signed him because they'd heard me on the phone, for a couple of days now. And so they were ready for a resolution as well. And they were excited that it ended the way they did. So it's more based on 10-year-old reactions than maybe 30 to 50-year-old reactions for me.
Thank you.
Paul Daner.
Hey, Coach. I'm curious what this weekend was like for you. I know Bengals fans felt like they were on a roller coaster. What was it like, kind of hoping we could get done and going through as it drug on? And was there something that stood out for you as outside of the end as a moment that is particularly memorable for you?
Well, it's constant interaction, as you go through the negotiating process. And obviously you want to add a guy to the mix. You want everything to be right on his end as well. You know, I went to March Madness Saturday and where was it? Indianapolis, you know, and so I probably wasn't as attentive to the game as I otherwise would have been, you know, as I'm taking phone calls and text messages and all that. But at the end of the day, it all came together and we're all happy about it.
James Rapine.
Coach, how big of a factor was Joe Burrow, and how involved was he in the process, not just with Collins, but Hayden Hurst and the rest of the free agents that you added?
He's been great. You know, Joe's message to me really has been, what can I do to help during the process? And so again, we utilize him in every way we can, because that's obviously a big selling point for us, is we've got a quarterback that is a tremendous player and has helped us do a lot of things, and players like being around him. So Joe's done a great job coming to the dinners, you know, hosting some of the players. Those are kind of his ideas to get guys over to his place and help do what he can do on his end, bringing those guys close together so they can see kind of the relationships that the guys have on the team. And we certainly appreciate that. And he's just been all in on whatever he can do to help.
Were you surprised when he showed up and what it looked like sweats to the dinner, like Daffy Duck shirt or whatever it was?
I stopped being surprised by anything that Joe wears, you know, on any occasion. So Joe's Joe, man, and he can pull off anything.
Ben Baby.
Yeah, Zach, you know, now that you guys have, you know, the offensive lineman that you guys were targeted throughout the offseason, what do you think this does for you all as an offense, and how much more, you know, lethal, and when you've seen what Burrow can do when he has that extra second to hold on to the ball, how much more effective does that make him as a quarterback and that offense as a whole?
Yeah, the longer he has back there, the better, you know, and we feel like this can also improve our run game as well. And, you know, just anytime you add some of these veteran players like we did that have played at a high level, specifically Ted and Alex have won 3 Super Bowls between the two of them. So they know what it's like to compete to the bitter end. And so that's experience that we look to draw on. And again, happy that they all decided to jump in the mix with us.
You feel like now with these additions, you guys have the capability of being one of the more potent offenses in the NFL?
Well, again, there's a lot of work that's got to unfold. And just because we had success last year does not mean that we're going to replicate that success this year. So that's really the messaging for the players and the coaches, is there's a lot of hard work that we put in last May, June, August to get us, you know, hit the ground running as the season started. And our guys, I know, will have an understanding that we've got to start really at ground zero, regroup with the chemistry of some of the new players, make sure that they fit into the mix, some of the draft picks that are coming up. So we got a ways to go before we're ready for the 2022 season, but I know that our guys understand that and they'll be up for the challenge.
Jeremy Rao.
Zach, a couple of questions. I'll just start with this one, then I'll follow up on a second. How soon did you start having conversations after the Super Bowl about, we have to find a way to get better, specifically on the offensive line?
You know, within a week, really, because the combine that was coming up, and that was going to be more focused on the college players. And then 2 weeks after that, you were going to be signing the free agents. So there wasn't any time to waste. Obviously, our scouting department has done a tremendous job researching the guys and forming their opinions. Duke and Steve Radicevich really lead that charge on the pro side of things. And then getting the opinions of the coaches as well. You know, and Frank's a big part of that, because we added 3 offensive linemen, and we did target that as an area where we needed to improve. And so Frank certainly did a lot of work there, evaluating a lot of these players and, you know, finding the right fits for what will help us going forward. And, the same with Marion Hobby on the defensive line and Chuck with the corners and Lou, and we utilized everybody's opinions there. And so far it's worked out well for us.
And the quick follow-up, is your relationship with Burrow okay if he doesn't invite you over for dinner with the rest of the guys?
I'm past that stage of my life where I even want to go to dinner anymore. You know, I want to be in bed by 8 o'clock. So I'm sure that they stay up a lot later than I do.
Marissa Contepelli.
Yeah, Zach, with the team really solidifying the majority of the offensive line with bringing in those 3 guys this offseason, just kind of what are the next steps for Jackson Carman, and kind of how do you see him fitting in now, you know, moving forward on the offensive line?
Right. You know, we still see a bright future for Jackson, and certainly saw a lot of flashes of that over the course of the season. Now it's just the overall consistency. He's been in this league for a year now. He knows what it all looks like over the course of 12 months and the work that's required. Some of the challenges you're going to face from some of the D linemen, a lot of the different looks you've got to be able to adapt to. And so have confidence in him and a lot of those young linemen that we've had that are in their first or second year in the system. And so again, we've got high hopes for those guys. They're here for a reason. They're going to get their opportunities. They're no different than a lot of other young linemen in this league that it takes some time to gain that experience and continue to improve. And so again, just the next step for us is the consistency. We know the potential's there. We know there's a high ceiling. It's just being more consistent from day to day. And I certainly have a lot of belief that we'll get that out of those guys.
Are you expecting Jackson to, come in and compete for that starting position at left guard?
Yes, I do. And I think that there's several guys that'll fit that bill that'll have a chance to compete there as well. And so that's really exciting for us as a coaching staff to see, how that takes shape over the next couple of months.
Dan Horde.
How did the addition of 3 starting offensive linemen impact your draft plans?
Not really there yet. Right now, a lot of our coaches and scouts are on the road at pro days. And so as you can imagine, they're kind of gaining all that intel from what those pro days bring. And then they come back in the building here over the next 2 weeks. And then you really have a chance to really drill down to what is the plan. Duke and his staff have been working on this for a long time. And now the coaches have trying to do their part by scattering around the country and watching some of these kids. And then we'll regroup here in the next 2 weeks. And you spend really those 3 weeks leading up to the draft, finalizing those draft plans, getting that communication out there between Duke staff and the coaching staff and sorting out, where we want to spend our draft capital.
Kelsey Conway.
Hey, I just had one more follow-up about your offensive line. I guess that you guys probably don't go into it being surprised by anything at this point, but did you think that you would be able to get 3 bona fide starters of the caliber of some of the guys that you have? And just like when you look at it from a rebuild standpoint, how pleased are you with the talent you were able to acquire on your offensive line in particular?
Yeah, we're really happy about it. And you probably realistically went in thinking you could get 2. You got to look at LC, and that was one that was never a sure thing, that he was going to be released from Dallas, that it was going to work out to where he came and played for us. And there's a chance if you didn't add him that you'd added 2 quality starters. And that's what we envisioned really going into free agency. It just so happened that we got 3 as it was all said and done. And that's really encouraging for us.
Dave Lapham.
Coach, the fact that you got 3 new starters in the offensive line, they haven't played next to each other, obviously, but the fact that they've proven themselves as capable in the National Football League and have years of experience, do you find that in that situation, communication, being able to be on the same level in terms of handling stunts and being aware of stunts and twists and all that sort of thing, and becoming a cohesive offensive line, because of those experiences they've already had, it's going to come together that much sooner?
I think so, and you can start with Ted, playing center, son of a coach, a very successful coach. I think that's probably at the end of the day what Ted will want to do when he gets done playing, for my conversations. So when you've got a coach playing the center position that really drives that communication, that's a really good thing. Alex has had a tremendous amount of success, obviously playing there in the playoffs multiple times in Tampa, winning the Super Bowl. He thinks at a very high level. He's got a high football IQ. And then LC obviously has played on some really good offensive lines and some really good offenses in Dallas. And Frank's had a chance to have his hands on him for 3 years before that. So just feel really good about where that's at. It's impossible for me to predict exactly how it's all going to play out, but obviously think that those 3 guys from a communication standpoint will be able to hit the ground running once they start to understand the ins and the outs of our system.
Time for a couple more. Ben Baby.
Yeah, Zach, obviously y'all have done a good job of building a certain culture inside the locker room. When it came to vetting Lyle Collins and kind of the character that he was going to be bringing in, what was that process like? And what did you learn about him given kind of his journey throughout the NFL?
Yeah, Frank had him for those 3 years, like I mentioned, so he understood the character that we were dealing with. I had a lot of people reach out that had been around LC that had tremendous things to say about him, so we felt really good about adding him to the mix.
Paul Dehner.
I mean, a lot of guys sign and just they don't make visits. I mean, why was it so important to bring him in on a visit? And maybe what was something that you kind of learned during the visit that you hadn't heard from others along the way?
Well, it's just a chance to interact with him face to face. And so obviously he doesn't have any questions about Frank. He's been around him. I think it was a year to work with him. But he never met me, never met Joe Burrow, never met Brian Callahan, a lot of other guys that were going to be in the mix. So, and part of the time, that's just biding the time while they work out the deals, the contract, as well. So you get a chance to get a steak dinner out of the situation and get a chance to tour the town a little bit. And that's never a bad thing. But, that's just the timing of it coming after that Wednesday of that initial wave of free agency there allows for it to happen and just makes a lot of sense to make sure that we do that.
All right, Jay Morrison.
Yeah, hi, Zach. The three guys you signed, the three offensive linemen, are now your oldest and most experienced guys on that line, which on the surface could make it appear like that might stunt the development of the young guys. But how beneficial can it be for them to kind of have that template and that mentorship from guys and maybe kind of let them ease into developing into a bigger role?
Yeah, I think that's extremely valuable, and that doesn't mean that those young guys aren't going to get their opportunities. And we all know over a 17-game season plus the playoffs, there's going to be moments you rely on the depth pieces that you get on the offensive line. Obviously, it's a point of emphasis in training camp with these 3 preseason games. You get a chance to continue to allow them to develop. And you just look at the 3 rookies we had with Jackson, Deontay, Trey. Those guys, they're swimming a little bit when they get here in that first training camp. And so now they get a chance to get their feet underneath them. They know what to expect. They know what the NFL calendar looks like. They know what training camp feels like and how you utilize those 3 preseason games. And so, again, we really are going to get a chance to see them, in our minds, take a big next step and be much more comfortable with what we're asking them to do. And that's an exciting piece of the puzzle there with our offensive line.
Last one for Coach Mike Petraglio.
Along those lines of Jay's question, Zach, I wanted to ask you about not only the depth that this gives you now with adding 3 offensive linemen, but the versatility that you have in terms of maybe moving some of those depth pieces around if you need them throughout the course of the season.
Well, it's hard to put a young lineman in one spot and just let them continue to grow there. Ideally, that's of course what you'd like to happen. But the reality is they're going to have to step up at multiple spots if they're not ingrained as a day one starter at a position. And so I think that's what this allows them to do is get some reps playing multiple positions. Again, ideally, you'd like to leave guys at one spot, but that's just not the reality that we usually face, especially over the course of training camp, as you lose guys for a week or 10 days. And it forces you to move some guys around a little bit. And ultimately, that's going to be a really good experience for them. And so now with some of the depth that we've got there, that's what we'll be able to do.
All right, Coach, we'll let you go. Thanks for your time.
Well, I'll say one more. Hayden Hurst. We didn't really get a chance to talk about Hayden Hurst, but he fell into the mix where he didn't sign his contract until I was done talking about those other guys at the other press conference. But we're really excited to have him. We think that that's a great fit for us and a great fit for him. Just having watched his career over the last 4 years in Baltimore and Atlanta, he's a guy that the more research we did on him and really dug into it, we feel like that guy can be a real weapon and asset for us this year. And so, again, went to dinner with him and James Casey and Drew Sample and feel like he really hit it off with the group and in that tight room. So, again, we've got high expectations for Hayden to come in here, and I think he's made of the right stuff, and he's really going to be able to help us there at the tight end position this year.
Zach, you said you went to the March Madness games. Did you fill out a bracket? And if so, who was your winner?
Yeah, my bracket is just red. It's just a bunch of red markings. So I do with my sons. It's a disaster. So it doesn't matter who I had or what I still have. It's over. It's over for me.
All right, Coach, we'll let you go. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
Don't for carving out some time and joining us. We got our media here, and I'll call on them here when they have a question. So we'll get started with Wayne Box Miller. Box, go ahead.
Hey, welcome, Cincinnati, young man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Two questions for you here. Number one, with your new contract, I know that your relationship with your mom is just an awesome thing, and talk about maybe what now you're able to do for her that maybe you weren't able to do prior. That's just a way of saying thank you to her.
Well, you know, I've been taking care of mom since day one, man. So she's doing very fine. I think the biggest thing here is, you know, I just want to continue to make her proud. You know, I want to continue to go out here and do my job at a high level, and just, you know, just see her in the stands cheering me on. You know, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited for her to come and get to see a new city. I know she's excited, so you know, we're both just extremely excited.
And second question, you're very fashionable. You know, Chidobe was a fashionable guy. He's kind of led that charge here. Do you kind of see yourself as telling him to scoot over a little bit, because you're a very dapper dresser?
You know, man, the big guys, you know, we gotta have a sense of just some kind of, you know, fashion. Of course, you know, you gotta keep the style together. But you know, the biggest thing is just being able to play it out. You look good, you feel good, you play good. You know, that's how I always felt. So being able to kind of keep that and just roll with it.
Thank you.
James Rapine.
Lyle, how big of a factor was Frank Pollock in not only you signing, but the visit itself, coming to Cincinnati and entertaining the idea of joining the Bengals?
For me, you know, it was a no-brainer. You know, just opportunity presented itself to get back and work with Coach Frank. I've been missing him since he left, and I mean, he's a great coach. Just very detailed in everything that he asks you for as a pro. You know, I know the type of coach, I know the type of things he's looking for in his players, and you know, I just look forward to going there and really contributing in a big way, and just doing my job and just helping some of these young guys, you know, continue to develop and grow as pros.
And then what's a Friday like at Joe Burrow's house?
Man, it's really just chill, man. You know, just chill, talking football with the guys, and just being able to really like just kind of get a sense of like, you know, what this locker room is like, starting with him. You know, I mean, obviously he's the leader of the team, quarterback, and you know, just, you know, obviously him playing down at LSU is something special to me as well. So, you know, it's big just to be able to kind of, you know, spend some time with him and have some camaraderie.
Dan Horde.
LC, I have two questions for you. Number one, I'd like to know the proper pronunciation of your first name. And secondly, all things being equal, when you became a free agent, was Cincinnati your first choice?
All right, so you said my first name, it's L. But everybody just calls me L, so just call me L or LC, doesn't matter. I've been hearing some new names like the Bodyguard. I kind of like that one too. So, but yeah, you know, from the jump, you know, just like I said the other day, you know, I felt like Cincinnati was a perfect fit for me. Obviously, just the history there, me and Coach Frank, and obviously just when you look at that roster, you look at the way this team is built. You know, I feel like, you know, we got the best chance to win right now. You know, it's going to come down to the 11 guys on the field, offense, defense, and special teams at all times. So we're just going to have to stick together, work, and let everything, you know, show for itself. But, you know, I'm excited. You know, I'm excited to get to work with these guys. Joe Mixon, what a hell of a player, what a hell of a running back. He's definitely one of the guys that also made this decision for me, you know, pretty easy. Just talking to him, you know, and having a relationship with him already is great. Anytime you have a relationship with the running back, you know what type of runner he is, and you know he's just ready to cut that thing back to the right. So, you know, I'm excited.
Mike Petraglia.
Hey, Al, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I wanted to ask you how big of a factor was the Bengals making the Super Bowl and coming 85 seconds from winning a Super Bowl in terms of your decision to come to Cincinnati?
I mean, all that played a factor because, like I say, you just look at that roster, look at this team. I mean, they're loaded everywhere. Just need the guys up front to do that job. I always felt like as the O line goes, the team goes. So we go out there as a group, as one unit, and play sound, play together. I feel like the outcome will be definitely in our favor more times out of not. So we just got to control the game, control the line of scrimmage, give the QB some time to throw the ball, get the running backs lanes to run. So we do that, we do our job, and we'll be looking for the outcome that we want.
Welcome to town, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dave Lapham.
Welcome to Cincinnati, big fella.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when you first went to Dallas, was there a player or two that mentored you, and got you comfortable with playing in the National Football League? And do you look forward to doing that, passing that forward, to some of the young guys in the offensive line that you're going to be working with?
Absolutely. When I got to Dallas, there was no group that was closer than the offensive line. And I was already established before I got there. Just kind of following those guys' footsteps. You got guys like Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, Doug Free, Ron Larry, all those guys. Great players, great pros. They all just kind of showed me how to be a pro in their own way. And just watching that group together, everything that they did, everything that we did at the time, we just moved as a unit everywhere we went, from the weight room to the locker room to the meeting room to the practice field. And I think if we, establish that culture, which I already know that's how Coach Frank rolls, that will just make us grow as a group, put the work in together, and then we'll be ready to go. So I'm just excited for that. I had a chance to meet a couple of the guys, O-line guys, and I can just tell already those guys that they love ball, and I love ball. So we're gonna do some special things together. We just got to put the work, taking one week at a time, one day at a time.
As a follow-up, self-scout a little bit. You at the right tackle position. What are the Bengals getting? I mean, what do you do best as a big right tackle in this league?
What I do best is I impose my will each and every play. Whether it's run, whether it's pass. At the end of the day, whoever I'm going up against, they're gonna feel me, and it's gonna be a long day for them, and that's just the mindset that I carry, and that's just the way that I play this game, and that's the only way I know. And having a great offensive line coach that that he stands on that as well, it makes it even better. He's a fun coach to want to play for. He brings the best out of you. He's gonna make sure you work and you're ready to go, and that's just special about him.
Ben Baby.
Hey, Lo, first off, what did y'all have for dinner at Joe's house? What did the course menu look like?
Well, we had already ate dinner before we got over there. So Joe had some crackers and I think he had some cupcakes. It was but I'm sure if you wanted anything special, he could have made it happen. But it was just felt like I was at my little brother's house. When I walked in, it was nobody was all uptight. Everybody was just cool, just like the locker room. And for me, that was special. It was authentic. It was real and it was pure.
What's it like knowing that, you're going to have to go out and protect this guy? That's going to be your job moving, coming here. What's it like for him to kind of have y'all over kind of as a kickback after dinner, before you even get here? What kind of impression does that make on you as you're trying to figure out what to do during the process?
Man, for me, that was everything in the world. I know I was scheduled to go eat dinner with Coach Frank and Coach Taylor, but I just kind of told him, I wasn't really there to be wine to dine. I wanted to, just kind of get this thing done. And, I was able to go spend time with those guys, Joe and the rest of the guys. And, for me, that really put it over the top. That really stamped it. That really showed me, you know, this is where I want to be. You know, these are guys I want to be around. And, you know, that moment was probably the biggest moment.
Paul Daner.
LC, welcome to town. I wanted to ask you, what were the roller coaster of emotions like over the course of the weekend? I mean, it probably drug on longer, I imagine, than you thought it was going to. What was it like for you trying to, you know, see, stay, go, what's happening? Was it easy for you to handle that, or was it stressful?
I mean, you know, it was obviously, you know, anytime you're playing a waiting game, just trying to letting the guys that do the contracts, you know, they have to take their time to do their job and everything like that. So, you know, you got to give them time. So during that time, I just spent a lot of time just seeing the city, just going, you know, by the river. I met some cool people that like to fish, which was cool. They was showing me all the big fish they caught out of the river and stuff like that. So you might catch me down there on a Monday or Tuesday with my fishing pole in the water. So, you know, I spent some time doing that, just getting to know the people, man. They was just great people. You know, they embraced me. So for me, I was letting everything else, you know, control itself while I just, you know, just kind of take my mind off things. And it was very great.
What was it like for you when you're going through the mall and people are approaching you to take pictures and all of a sudden everybody knows you're at the mall? Did you catch wind of how that kind of became a thing?
Absolutely. You know, for me, it was just, you know, it was special because, you know, I was in the mall, had my mask on, and I thought, you know, hey, I was going to be able to just kind of just go in different stores and just, you know, chill, get a bite to eat, things like that. But they still saw the big fella. And and I was just like, hey, and you know, asked me, were we close yet, or were we done? And I was just kind of like, hey, we're getting there. You know, the whole time I was very optimistic that we was gonna get it done. So, you know, I was just really just trying to get a feel for my new home. I was like I said, I was very optimistic that we was gonna get it done. So, and we did, and you know, I couldn't be more happier.
Kelsey Conway.
Hey, LC. Obviously, the last two seasons for you, 2020 was one that ended in injuries and you weren't able to play. And then last year, missing 5 games with the suspension. How eager are you to be able to, obviously, you know, you don't know what's going to happen, but if you're able to stay healthy, how eager are you to be able to play a full season of games? Because it's been a couple of years since you've been able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest motivation, you know. Anytime, you know, you face some adversity, got to find a way to just kind of step right through that. And, you know, that's kind of been me in my whole life. I've had some adversity, always found a way. And, you know, this is just another way. It's a new opportunity, fresh start. And, you know, I'm just excited to give these fans what they've been looking for. You know, mean, tough, nasty, physical, offensive line guy. And just doing my job and being able to be accountable and just let these guys know that I'm here and I'm here to stay. So, you know, I'm just excited and I'm just looking forward to it. I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Jeremy Rao.
Hey there, Lael. Yeah, you talked about, you know, how important it was hanging out with Joe Burrow at his house in this process. But what's up?
Nice picture, man. Suit and tie. See you.
I mean, I can put the camera on for you. Hold on. There we go. It's slow to the punch today. There we go. I'm just rocking my hoodie and my bed head. So you got a chance to hang out with them in person, which is cool, right? That's a good thing. But how important was it for you to come to a place that you knew without a shadow of a doubt that you had a chance to win a championship?
You know, that's very important, you know, for me. At this point in my career, man, you know, it's not about the money. It's about winning. You know, I wanna win. And when I walked in that building, I knew it was all about ball. You know, and it's not about nothing else but ball. And that's what I want to be around. Those type of guys I want to be around. You know, anytime you got your running back, just, you know, as meaningful as Joe Burrow. I mean, that guy, you know, he wanted to make sure I didn't leave town. And, you know, and you got a quarterback that's just as committed. And then you got other guys that love ball. defensive guys hitting you up. I mean, that was different, completely different experience. And I'm just excited to know that, those guys know what type of player I am and, what I'm going to bring to this team. So I'm just looking forward to really just, giving the Bengals and Mr. Brown and everybody the return on their investment in a big way. So, the only goal is to win championships. And I say that with an S, with a strong S, because, I want to win championships with this team. So this is definitely the team to do it.
Jeff Hobson.
Thanks, Remy. El, how you doing?
Doing great.
You guys won an NFL rushing championship with Zeke in Dallas. I'm wondering, how do you break down Mixon's game? What do you like him? Seems to have a great personality. What do you think about his running style and what Frank does?
He's a physical back. He is one of those guys that runs downhill. He has great vision. He has great explosiveness once he hits the second level. So I know, as an offensive lineman, anytime you got a back like that, anytime a run's called, you want to make sure that he's able to get the read that he needs. He's able to press the line of scrimmage the way that he wants, and he's able to cut the ball back or keep it front side wherever he wants to go. You're giving a two-way going each and every run. And that's the biggest focus. So we're able to, which we will be, provide him those lanes, provide him those reads that he needs. We know he's going to do the rest. I mean, I'm sure there's no DB in the league that wants to tackle that guy. I mean, you just look at the way he runs with the physicality and that mindset. He brings it each and every play. So, I'm excited to get to work with him.
And just as a follow-up, how would you describe yourself as a run blocker, that style of your game?
I felt like for the most part, I've done a lot of talking about the type of run blocker, what type of player I am. For me, it's more so just getting out there and showing who they nation. I can't wait to go into the jungle in the first snap of the game and just come off the ball and move people out of the way, and and not only just, as offensive lineman, when you watch the tape, you cut the tape on. I mean, you really cut the tape on. You see those guys on the outside. You see receivers blocking downfield. They're sustaining blocks. And those runs can go from a 6-7 yard run to, 30, 40, 50 yard run just because they're blocking the guys on the outside, the only guys that can make the play. And so when you see receivers being all in like that as well, I mean, that's even greater as offensive lineman, because that those guys know that those blocks are critical, just as the blocks inside the trenches.
Thanks, El.
Sir.
Jay Morrison.
Hey, LC, welcome to town. Even though you're not here now, but you made it clear how happy you are with what's transpired the last few days. But I'm wondering, is there any kind of chip on the shoulder that comes with being cut by your former team? And two, are you aware that the Cowboys are on the Bengals schedule this season?
I didn't know that. I did not know that, but I'm excited even more now, But, man, Dallas, man, that's been my home for the last 7 years, man. That organization has been special to me. It's been great to me. It's no animosity or nothing like that, man. Nothing but love. I'll be a Cowboy for the rest of my life. I gave them a lot. I gave them a lot. So for me, it's all anything that's not orange and don't have those stripes on them. When it comes game day, then at the end of the day, if you're in the way, you got to get moved out the way. So that's just the bottom line. And it doesn't matter who it is, don't matter where we at, don't matter what time we play. That's the mindset each and every week for me.
Thank you.
Marissa Contapelli.
Hey, El, I know you were mentioning that you talked with Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon and even heard from some of the defensive guys before you signed. I'm curious, how many guys ended up reaching out to you, and just what did that say about the fact that so many players on this roster wanted you to be a part of this?
it was, I mean, it was probably at least 10 of the guys reached out to me. And to me, that was special. That was special anytime, guys want you to be a part of the team that they have. And, I just felt like it was just definitely special because it's nothing like, going somewhere where guys, they want you to be there. They want you to come in. They want you to, be the type of player that they know you can be. And, it's just special because all those guys are great players as well. So just having that feeling of, these guys want me to be a part of this, but not just telling me this, but showing me this in a big way is special. And I couldn't be more thrilled and more excited to get to work with these guys.
Box Miller.
Yeah, LC, wanted to ask you about your relationship with Willie Anderson, Mutual Admiration Society. What has he meant to you as a football player?
Oh, Big Willie, man, he came down to Dallas. I want to say that year, Frank left. Big Willie came down and he spent some time with us, a few weeks with us actually. And I really just kind of got the chance to really pick his brain, talk to him. And he's a special guy. He was a great player. He's always had like great tips, great things that he was able to share with me. And I think just having that past relationship with them, being able to work with them was definitely special. And not even realizing, that really just the type of legacy that he left there. I think his legacy is unmatched. And, I just look to come in and be, to play at that level. Obviously, I feel like I'm the best right tackle in the league. So, I just feel like, I'm ready to just come in and play at that level and keep that 71 jersey, hold it strong.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Got time for a few more. Dan Horde.
Al, I think that there's kind of a narrative around the NFL that the Bengals might have won the Super Bowl if the offensive line play had been better and protected Joe Burrow better. How do you feel about being one of 3 free agent new starters specifically brought in to address that one weakness?
It was great. I mean, it's feel like, you miss a piece to the puzzle, and, for me, it feels great. But at the end of the day, all of that is fine and dandy, but we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to put in. We got a lot of work to do before we can get to that point. So, we just got to put our heads down and continue to grind and just take it one day at a time, and let everything else work itself out. But, we keep that same, mentality as the guys had last year, and the additions that we had. I mean, you just look at it, you look at the roster now, and the draft hasn't even came yet. So, I mean, I can only imagine how much stronger this team is going to be by the time, the season starts. So, at the end of the day, I'm gonna just continue to grind and continue to work out, continue to do everything that I can. So when it's time to go, we're ready to roll.
Mike Petraglia.
Al, I wanted to ask you about chemistry and getting to know the other teammates along the offensive line, especially Ted Karras, who's now going to be the new center, and obviously Alex Kappa. Why is that a big deal to you, and how are you going to get to know your offensive line teammates?
So I met Ted and I met Alex. That those are some great guys. They love ball. I could tell. When we had a chance to visit, we were just talking about our favorite run plays. And just so happened we love the same run plays. So me and Alex was talking about, how we're going to enter certain blocks. And, the only thing I needed him to do is just stand the guy up and I was going to move him. And we're on the same page already about that. So, I can't wait to get into the first fit with him and just move people out of the way. I can't wait, for just to hit the field with those guys, man, because they're all pros and they're all great players. And I know they wouldn't be there if Frank did think so. So, I'm just excited to really just get to work and just get in tune with those guys.
Last question, Dave Lapham.
LC, a lot of times when you go from one team to another, it's a whole new scheme, whole new terminology. the fact that you have the same line coach, do you know if the terminology is pretty much the same as you had down in Dallas? Has it evolved since Frank was at Dallas in terms of what you call things and that wide, the outside zone, the stretch play, whatever you want to call it, being the principle of Frank Pollock's running game? Are you excited about that part of the continuity as well?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing in offensive line play, it doesn't matter where you go. It's pretty simple. You count the defense. As tackles, you're a 2 to 3 player. As center and guard, you're 0 to 1. And what I mean by that, when the center makes the point, that's 0, and then you count the defense from there. So it's not hard at all, man. It's just terminology may be different, but it doesn't take long to get in tune with that, because at the end of the day, you run the same plays. You're just running it differently. It's just different formations, different things like that. But when you understand football and you understand it as the whole grand scheme of things, it's a lot easier. And just with the experience that we have up front, we'll be able to get on the same page quick, and we'll be able to roll from there. But, it does help knowing the type of things that Coach Frank looks for, and the things, he's going to simplify the game as much as possible. And we're all pros. We'll be able to pick it up and roll. So, yep.
All right, LC, we kept you for a while, so we appreciate your time, and welcome to Cincinnati, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. I can't wait to meet all you guys.
Thanks,
LC.
Thanks,
Thanks.
LC.
Thank you.
Appreciate
See you.
Bodyguard.
Cool.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Randy.